bringing you the latest news from Monterey Athletics. This is the Plainsmen Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Good Tuesday evening and welcome into the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta. We're going to jump into the Plainsmen Fan Zone. My man behind the glass is Brennan Riker, and I am on I'm on probation with Brennan after last night. Spoke right through a break. Got to talking to a couple of Liberty guys, just blew right through it. So you guys help me. If I'm talking to you and he starts looking like he's going crazy, please let me know. I don't want to get in trouble again. That was last night. This is a new day. Give me a coach's cliche to use about next day, Josh Davis.
Got to be 1-0 the next day. Got to flush it and move on.
I'm going to try to be 1-0 today. I'm with Josh Davis is with me, Monterey boys basketball coach. If you haven't figured it out, we're going to talk a little basketball tonight with Elijah Smothers, Sam Arrington. Before we do that, though, I want to run through real quick the football schedule because we still are in football season. And Jason Sims tried to talk either one of you two into putting on pads before the season began. I know he did.
Little bit.
He said that you came out and Luke was throwing passes to you. Or was it his son that was throwing passes?
Both.
And
both of them.
He said that he worked on it a little bit with you. He was trying to talk Sam, and I don't know if that was a conversation that you and Jason had or.
Well, we usually, we leave it up to the player a lot. Sometimes they've maybe had the itch before, sometimes they don't. But it's not. At the end of the day, it's not my decision. It's theirs and what they feel comfortable with and wanting to do.
Do you guys know Coach used to be a football player? And he
tells us a little bit.
Well, according to them, that was about 150 years ago, and we wore leather helmets and stuff like that. So
that makes me a lot older than that. Then. Now he will not admit to it, but his former coach told me he was also a pretty good football player. So
just keep that one in your memory banks for a little bit later this year.
Before we forget, we'll talk a little bit. Let me grab the calendar real quick here. Thursday night, I know the HubCityPreps.com game of the week. I may ask Josh about this when we get off the air here a little bit. There's not been a whole lot of games this late in the season between two city teams that loom as large as this one. Liberty and Estacado play Thursday at Lowry Field. That's 93.1 Young Country. I forgot my cheat sheet. I've got to look over here on the board. It's basically, I have to be careful. If Estacado wins, they will be the District 2-4A Division II champions. If Liberty wins, they will have a game lead, and they've still got a game left. It's a little wonky because Estacado's still got a game, or Estacado's finished with the regular season after Thursday, so they're both in the playoffs. They're both really good teams. They're both going to have a chance to play for a while. But that game is going to be a lot of eyes on that. A lot of those probably gets people mad at me here. Those may be the two best, at least public schools, may be the two best teams in Lubbock this year, and they get to meet Thursday night at Lowry Field. Friday night, Friendships at home against Odessa Permian in District 2-6A. A lot on the line in that one. Still some games to play, but that's a big one. Monterey Plainsmen go down to Shotwell Stadium to take on Abilene High. They beat Abilene last year. That was one of their big wins last year. The Plainsmen win, and they're in the playoffs, I believe. I'll have to check with Jason on that to make sure. I think that's the case. Let's see, Lubbock Cooper's at home against Abilene Wiley, and that's absolutely a must-win for Lubbock Cooper. They painted themselves into a corner a few weeks ago, won last week. If they win Friday, they are in the playoffs. That is right here on the 100.7 The Score. Oh, help me, Brennan. Who carries Monterey? I don't have my cheat sheet.
93.7 The Eagle.
There we go. I'll stay out of trouble. I'll make Brennan help me a little bit, too. Oh, where am I at? In TAPS action, Trinity Christian goes on the road to take on Southwest Christian. Lubbock Christian and Pantego Christian play in Arlington. That's kind of for the district championship in that one. And then Saturday, Christ the Kings on the road at Midland Holy Cross at 3 p.m. at the complex right outside of Astound Broadband Stadium. It's got a name, and I'm not going to try it. I tried it last night and butchered it 3 times. That's my limit. So that is the football schedule. Your guys are back in action after an open week last week. You've seen your guys play a few times. They're good. I don't know that they've completely tapped into how good they can be yet.
Which is, as a coach, that makes you feel kind of 50-50, that you feel like by this point of the season you'd like to be maybe a little further along, but it also gives you some hope and optimism that if you can get things right these last 2 weeks heading into the playoffs, that it sends you off on a good note where you can make a little bit of a run.
You guys figured that out about this time, a little bit earlier than this, but they've got a track record. We talked at the coaches' lunch, and how many guys do you have playing football right now that will be back in uniform?
We've got a bunch. This is going to be we've talked about it a bunch. This will be a difficult year for us picking teams that we've got. We've had a lot of guys really work, whether they're basketball only guys like these two or they're football basketball guys. So as of when we start official practice tomorrow, and I'd like to give you a real number, but I don't know for sure because we've got a lot of great guys in the period, freshmen all the way up through seniors, and a lot of guys in football, and so we'll kind of see where the dust settles after football's over and see where our best chances are going to be with who's ready to go.
These two aren't a bad place to start, though.
They're not bad. We've started worse than having these two back. Having two all-district guys back is definitely helpful leading into a new season.
I just cheated, went to HubCityPreps.com here. First team All-City, second team All-City last year. So you've got some guys to build on. Grab that, Elijah. Knowing that you guys are kind of the cornerstones, but you've got to wait a little bit on football, and you don't know how long that'll be. Get ready to start practice tomorrow. What's the kind of the frame of mind for you guys getting ready to prepare, but also know that it's going to change a little bit?
We talked about this today in our meeting. Going into it and having unknowns with our team, we just got to go in positivity. That's going to be our main mindset going in with these guys, and especially with having a lot of younger guys, freshmen all the way up to seniors. We just got to keep everyone positive and in shape for basketball. Not knowing when football is going to be done, everyone's going to be ready to play. Everyone's got to have team chemistry, and that starts with positivity.
I mentioned Coach was a basketball player and a football player. There's also a little bit of different conditioning going from football to basketball.
We usually say that football hurts you on the outside and basketball hurts you on the inside. That in football you get cuts, bruises, breaks, and basketball your lungs and stomach burn, and it hurts you differently. But it doesn't take too long usually to kind of get guys going, especially football guys, because they've got to jump right in. And these guys may be a little bit jealous that they don't have to do some preseason conditioning. That their conditioning comes in games because that's where we are in the year. It helps the subs a little bit sometimes. You're ready to sub somebody, and they give you the jersey pull, and they're dying, and you see them, and so you're ready to go. But it happens pretty quick, and we're ready for it.
Look, I'm paying attention. All right, we're coming up on the first break here. We're going to talk more Monterey basketball when we come back on High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Monterey athletics. You're listening to the Plainsmen Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back into the Plainsman Fan Zone. I still don't have my cheat sheet out, but I do know I've got this down by heart. And this is going to change. I think I sent Josh a group text on this. This is just for the next few weeks. The schedule is Monday nights are Estacado, Memorial, and Liberty. Tuesday nights, Monterey and Coronado. Wednesday nights are Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper. That's going to change when we come back December 1st after we take a week off for Thanksgiving. We'll talk about that later. We'll do four on Monday night, 4 on Wednesday night, because people like to go out and watch high school basketball on Tuesdays. That includes myself right here. So, and high school basketball for the boys starts officially, practice tomorrow. You guys don't get a whole lot of official preseason practice.
We get about 10 days before the first scrimmage day on the 8th, and we'll host our our annual tip-off one. There will be 8 teams at Monterey and 8 at Coronado rotating through on that day. And I think that's part of just we get August, September, most of October anyways, so you get what football doesn't with 2-a-days and things, so that's why we're a little shorter.
You're Paul Page, and I guess I should have thought about this when I covered sports long enough. He pointed out that for you guys that have a lot of football guys, Friendship, Monterey, Estacado, Liberty, your preseason is sort of summer. I mean, that's when you get them together and let them play. It really is.
Last year, with the way the schedule went, when they lose to Denton Ryan on that Saturday, they played basketball on Monday without a practice, and Tuesday. We played Friendship Monday and Wiley Tuesday, and football guys were a little winded just doing a shoot-around and some walk-through stuff just because they were playing a whole different sport 48 hours ago. And then we played – it took us until about the end of December maybe before we caught up that we had practiced more than we had played, because the next game after that was district already with the way our schedule was last year. So we went into, they had played 3 games and practiced twice leading into our first district game that counted double.
Which you don't get too long again this year. It starts pretty quick again, right?
We pushed back a week this year, so that's hopefully going to help us some. We won't start till the 12th with Caprock and Lubbock High and Tesco. Amarillo will be in our first 4.
All right, so Sam, I want you to talk here a little bit. I like it when Arringtons talk because they usually are. They sound much smarter than me because they usually are. What Elijah touched on this, you guys have to kind of let those guys ease in and get used to being back. That puts a little bit of more pressure on you guys, but you guys are used to that. You're ready for that, being older, being experienced. Early season, what do you have? Do you have to do anything different, or do you just kind of take on more leadership?
Well, I think leadership for sure is a big thing, but something I've noticed, like in practice this year, it's a lot more competitive. There's a lot of talking and competitiveness, aggressiveness, and I think it's just going to help us more prepare for the season last year, because I didn't feel like we had that last year. I didn't feel like we had like dogs that wanted it every day and are super competitive, and I think we for sure have that this year. Some of the lower classmen are ready, I think, and they show it in practice, and they like to get in and compete, and I think we're a lot more scrappy than we were last year for sure.
We had a lot better numbers this year as far as guys that don't play football, and maybe we lose in the spring and stuff like that. So it's been really helpful. We've had a lot more bodies in the gym too to be able to keep some teams together a little bit, mix them up some, and compete at different levels with having a little more people to do that with.
Well, and talking to Ralph Ramon and you, this incoming younger group has got a little bit of urban legend to it. There's apparently a lot of athletes, a lot of dudes.
They're part of the problem, like we said about picking teams. It happens every year. My wife always asks how I do it. You just post a list and move on. But they're good problems to have. I wouldn't want it the other way around.
Exactly.
That we're struggling to bring in athletes that they're. These younger guys, these 8th graders, are watching what these now seniors did the last couple of years, and that's something they want to be a part of, and so they're making sure they're following their feeder pattern and coming up to us because they want to come be a part of Monterey basketball because of what they're watching on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Elijah, you like having those younger guys pushing you guys a little bit?
I love it. I love the competitiveness in practice, and I don't go easy on them ever. I kind of like that. I like being one of those guys that pushes them in practice, and they really adapt to it and push us as well. It makes us want to be better leaders in practice and make practices better, make it more competitive, make it more intense. It's better having those younger guys around.
Plainsmen start on, we're about to say August. I'm about really to change the calendar back. November 15th at home against Wichita Falls Legacy, and Josh told me that was a really, really good team last year. There's a few of the TAPS teams start 4th, 11th, but everything starts 14th and 15th. Coming up on a break, we'll be back right after this in the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Your inside look into Monterey sports. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. We have one more segment of the Plainsman Fan Zone. I have my cheat sheet out now, and I don't even need it. So I told Sam I was going to mention this in case Dad is listening in particular, and any Plainview folks out there. I talked about it last night. This Friday night, prior to the Plainview-Wichita Falls Memorial game, there will be a very impressive class inducted into Plainview High School Athletic Hall of Honor that includes my late father-in-law, Tom Hall, radio guy up there for years, former Plainview, Slayton, and Paladuro coach Steve Parr, his oldest son, Scott Parr, who I believe coached at WT. He's the head coach at Texas A&M Kingsville now, spent some time all over coaching football, was out at Louisiana Tech with Sonny, I almost said Sonny Dykes, Sonny Cumbie. Former Coronado and Caprock coach Seth Parr, that folks are familiar with. Longtime friendship coach Bobby Davis, and then the 1994 Plainview Boys State Championship team, who I was asking Sam, and Sam was right. Sam got the number right. Callie, if you're listening, your son knows how old you are. I think Callie played with those guys a year earlier, but that's a pretty impressive class. A lot of Lubbock connections. Back then, Josh, did you play against Plainview? Were they in the district with you guys back then?
We weren't in district. They were 4A then, and we were 5A, but they were our kind of standing first game of the year all the years that I played at Monterey.
So you've been in the doghouse to play some basketball.
Both. I've played on it and stood on there as a coach multiple times, and it's one of the fun ones that when it's full and it gets loud in a hurry.
Yes, I've place dropping here. I've been to Hinkle Fieldhouse, not when it was full, but when it was empty. When I think of the Doghouse, I think that's the high school version out here because it's kind of dark and, like you said, though, it gets a little lively.
It does.
When there's
It's
people in there.
it's a fun place to play. Places like that are always enjoyable.
You guys, so save this to the last few minutes. You guys have some motivation this year, Elijah, because your season ended a little earlier than Monterey's used to the last several years. How much of that has been part of the offseason, kind of been a fire in the belly for you guys?
A lot. Every single day I say it comes across my mind, at least I know it comes across his. He'll make a speech about it in practice sometimes about what we need to do to change that, and if we're not showing it in practice that day, it really puts a fire under us. Like, we got to change. Every one of us wants it. There's not a person on our team that doesn't want to go out there, make the playoffs, and not just make it, but make a run for it. We want to show what Monterey is and who we are as a team.
Sam, follow up on that, because I've got to bring this up. Luke played on a football team that won a few rounds. He played on a soccer team that won pressure's on you there. You got to kind of hold up the name a little bit.
He'll join that club this year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, practice has been intense. Coach Davis has been preaching that a lot, and I think we're all ready for it. I know we've all been putting in the work, and I mean, we're all excited, but at the same time, we're ready to go, I would say.
How much did these guys learn, Josh, about in your district where you don't get to take any nights off because everybody's wanting to get in? Your district is so good, and people talk about the girls' district, and yeah, there's been really good, but your boys' district is a little bit off the radar, but also very good.
Yeah, I definitely think our district this year is going to join that conversation some. We've got Amarillo and PD that are preseason ranked off of last year, and Tascosa was in that mix up north, being really good. But like both of them said, we're ready to make our mark in that a little bit and change up. Last year, we had plenty of things we could have pointed at last year that were out of our control. Like, we can say this is why we didn't, kind of get what we wanted. But, like they both said, I think at the end of the day, all it does is be fuel for the fire to get more than what we wanted. And like you said, kind of the rigor of our district is every detail matters, every game, every night. And you end up with people one game out, tied for things. There's all these crazy tiebreakers in a 9-team district of what all could happen mathematically, and that every possession matters.
You guys went into the last couple of weeks in good shape, correct?
We for a little bit we controlled our own destiny, and then we needed a little bit of help towards the end there. But it's a testament to these guys that we lost 2 different guys to month-long injuries at different times, more than 1 month. Part of our, as much as it's not the full crux of it, we didn't even practice last year with all 11 guys that were in the team picture, between injury, sickness, football, stuff like that. So chemistry was an issue. Just the overall flow of the game and my role and things became issues at times because roles changed so often with who was sick tonight and who got hurt this week and stuff like that. So, but man, we're ready to put that behind us and show what we can do when we're at full strength.
You got 2 pretty good guys whose roles are pretty clear and pretty obvious. I'm going to throw this easy one out here, Elijah. How excited are you for practice to get started and then for November 15th to get here?
As excited as one can be, if not higher than that. Basketball is my sport. It always has been. It always will be. It's what I'm most passionate about, and practice coming up, I've been looking forward to it every single day, and game especially. I'm ready to go out there and play.
All right, Sam, you got until he gets to no fingers there. How excited are you?
I'm excited. I mean, I've been looking forward to this all year, since summer, since the end of last year. So we're all ready to go. I'm ready to go, and we're all super excited.
That wraps us up in the Plainsman Fan Zone. Come back after the break, and we'll talk Coronado volleyball in the Mustang Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.